sharing with you some new resources that we hope can help you with this, I guess, growing issue and growing concern with young people and in the schools context. So again, thank you to our partner, Digital and Scott, for inviting us to take part. Hopefully, we have made things easy for you by adding a QR code and a bit.ly link right at the beginning. Please do use your mobile phone to scan it, and you'll get a copy of this presentation, which includes hyperlinks to all of the resources we're going to mention. So this session is on AI literacy, and quite simply helping you to prepare your students and learners for digital spaces. We are Common Sense Education. We are a child advocacy organisation first and foremost. I'm actually based in London, even though we're headquartered in San Francisco. I look after our education and partnerships work. I'm thrilled to bring you all the way from Chicago today my esteemed colleague Jennifer. Jennifer, would you like to say a bit about your role?
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Yes, I have been with Common Sense Education for around 12 years now. I'm a former elementary teacher and just enjoy doing all of this professional learning with educators across the globe. So really excited to be here and showcase our new AI literacy lessons.
Thank you, Jennifer. And the reason you're hearing from Jennifer all the way from the US is that she's very, very well versed in our AI literacy resources. I wanted to give you that kind of sprinkling of expertise into this session. So thank you, Jennifer.
The pressure.
Yeah. So all of our resources for teachers are free. I just wanted to make that really clear at the beginning. You can find our resources on digital citizenship, AI literacy, and so much more on our website, which is at the bottom back here, so commonsense.org/education. And you'll find kind of bespoke resources that have been translated and transcreated for the UK on that website alongside our original kind of American version. So please do check that out. Everything we do at Common Sense is grounded in research, and actually our kind of core program is our digital citizenship program, and that was developed more than 10 years ago with researchers at Harvard University and Project Zero. And the reason I mention this is because this is often the way that most teachers find us, is through our digital citizenship curriculum. And we cover all the kind of core concepts of digital citizenship in an age-appropriate way for children from age 4 all the way to 18. It's a progressive scheme of work, so those are like little building blocks or little nibbles that kind of build up to a full meal, right, over time. We've got some super engaging resources for primary, so I do recommend, if you're looking for resources for younger learners, definitely check it out. But today we're going to focus on AI. So I know it's tempting to think AI is new, therefore we need a brand new set of skills to kind of manage AI in the classroom. I just wanted to reassure you that actually all the work you're already doing around digital citizenship, around online safety, all of those skills and dispositions are foundational to tackling and benefiting from all the opportunities that AI has to offer. So you're already doing the right things. So what we don't need is a completely new approach, but perhaps just adding on a few like bolt-ons, a bit more understanding. And I guess AI does offer more opportunity for you as teachers. So we're going to do 3 things in around 30 minutes. First of all, we will talk a little bit about what AI is, how it works. We'll look at potential benefits and risks, both from your perspectives as teachers, and also risks and benefits to your learners. And then think critically about how we can be responsible and ethical users for AI. So I hope that sounds good. Please stay with us for the full 30 minutes. I'm going to pass you over now to Jennifer. And if you have any questions, I believe the chat function may be available.
Okay, thank you. And if the chat is available, just keep me posted if anything comes in. I can't see it, so that's helpful. So yeah, let's just kind of get in a good frame of mind here as we begin to think about AI literacy. These are some of the top ways educators are using AI, and this is really across the globe. And so we're seeing research, we're seeing creating lesson plans, summarizing information, and generating classroom materials like tests and assignments. And so this, I think, we've seen a little bit of a increase over time. I mean, we know AI and the literacy and the movement is moving at the speed of light. And so I know for certain that I'm sure these have risen. So it's good to see that people are dabbling into it. And we just had a couple of recent studies, and I mean that in recent terms as the last 6 months or so. So again, with AI, it's moving so quickly, but this gives us a little bit of an idea of what's happening in terms of the parents and families and ChatGPT compared to the students, right? And so, not a big surprise here where students are doing a lot more than families and with the engagement pieces. And a lot of students are using, and I use the word chat gpt, but my has it sprung on to many more different platforms and apps, and that's okay. But we can see that a lot of folks are still not understanding or realizing the actual use and how it's being navigated. And we know students are using it. This is easy for them. They love it. It's intriguing, right? And so we need to think about how we can navigate this so that they're using it smart, ethically, responsibly, um, which is what our job is to do here. And then, do they have a positive impact on education? Parents say 68%, not as high as students. And I think it's kind of early to tell, to be honest. I don't know how you feel, Jenna, but I think it's been too soon to really understand an impact point yet.
Yeah, I think it's too soon. And so these stats actually I know are from US teachers and learners, but we did a similar study, or there was a similar study in the UK, and Ofcom did, and it was sort of shape was the same. So overwhelmingly, children are early adopters. They're trying things out. Perhaps their parents, their teachers are not aware. But even we had even higher levels of engagement with generative AI in the UK. So yeah, it's definitely out there. Children are overwhelmingly curious, as you say.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the last bullet there are the concerns. And so, of course, we're going to have lots of concerns with something's new and something's not exactly built so great for student use. So let's kind of dive into what those types of things could be. Um, First off, traditional AI. So this is a system that focuses on performing specific tasks, responds to a set of inputs in the data. And so the types of AI that we're used to or you may be familiar with, we've been using for a while now. And so if you have a Siri or an Alexa in your home, that's traditional AI. You can ask what the weather is, right? There's a certain set of data you can ask, and they will obviously have the answer. Natural language, speech recognition, machine learning. These are all the types of traditional pieces that we have. Um, Again, platforms like Netflix, Amazon, Spotify, with all those different algorithms that feed us just what we love, right? Exactly what we love to see and learn and listen to. And so this is another one that's been around and very much traditional. And then the last one here is your social media algorithms, right? Where your engagement patterns are analyzed, what you search, what you like, what you comment on. It also builds up that algorithm so the content is most relevant to you. And so targeted advertising is a part of this as well. And then our navigation apps. I don't know about all of you, but I can't live without my navigation apps. I rely on them pretty heavily. And so, these are things that have been around for a while as well and only getting better. And so today, what I wanted to take a look at is our lesson collection around AI literacy. We now have 8 lessons out, and Jenna and I are going to take you on a deep dive into 2 of them. And so the first one is really important in terms of what is AI? What is artificial intelligence and what are its potential benefits and drawbacks? And these are 15-minute quick activities, which are fantastic. We're getting a lot of great insight. A lot of teachers here are saying that it resonates with them. It's a really easy way to go through a quick lesson and understand what it is exactly. And so all of our lessons have an essential question. So, what is artificial intelligence and what are its potential benefits and drawbacks? And we have the AI video here that I would like to play. So I'm going to go ahead and play it. And then can you all just make sure we can hear it? Can you hear it?
No. What you sometimes have to do
No.
in Teams is when you're sharing your screen, there is actually a little option for sharing audio.
All right. If we could just sit tight a minute here.
Yeah, that's no problem.
While
I'm
Jennifer's
going
sorting
to-
that out, I'll just mention these AI literacy lessons. I think there's 8 in total, and they're aimed at learners from age 11 up. But you know your classroom best. I mean, you may find that younger children are curious about these issues, but they're really aimed at 11 to 18-year-olds.
Okay, can you see it
We can, yes.
and hear it? All right.
We can hear it.
Or artificial is when we teach computers how to do things that usually require human intelligence, like identifying an object, understanding human speech, and even talking. But how do you teach a computer to learn and think? Well, it's kind of like when you train a pet to do tricks. Think of AI as a robot that you're training to fetch a toy. At first, your robot dog might not even know what a dog toy is, so that's the first thing you need to teach it. You show it lots of pictures of dog toys so that it learns to recognize them quickly and easily. It might make some mistakes at first, but with each correct answer, it gets a reward. Over time, the dog's recognition improves, the same way you improve at any task the more you do it. And once the robot dog gets really good at recognizing what a dog toy is, you can move on to teaching it the next step of playing fetch, running after the toy and bringing it back to you. This is basic AI, which learns by analyzing lots of data. In this case, pictures of dog toys and how to play fetch. But there's something even more complex, called generative AI, which is more like a creative robot that can improvise to making art or writing. Unlike the robot dog, the creative robot learns from everything on the internet. Videos, text, photos, you name it. When you ask it a question or give a hint, it uses what it has learned from the internet to create new things, like answers, stories, or even pictures. But here's the catch. That creative robot can sometimes make mistakes, and it doesn't know the difference between good and bad. It doesn't know if what it creates is helpful or hurtful. It can't always tell facts from fiction or know where its information comes from. It might even use someone's work without crediting them. It just sucks up all the random or not so random information that's floating out there on the internet. That's why we, as humans, have to think hard and be critical about the information we receive from AI. We have to know what it does well and what it doesn't do well. As we use generative AI in our lives, remember that we have to be smart and responsible with how we use it.
Jennifer, I love that video, and I've used it with so many adults.
I know, right? I have
we all
too.
need this. Yeah, we all need this kind of reminder.
It's a very good point to bring up. A lot of these, obviously, these lessons are student facing and were designed for student learning, but I have to say that the launch is pretty new in terms of like late October. I do have a lot of administrators that have been using these videos in staff meetings and just kind of getting their staff on board and on the same page. So Thank you for bringing that up.
You've probably
Okay. So that's a great launching piece, right? Just watching a video, talking about what it is, maybe even going back and forth as to what surprised you, what did you learn, what wasn't mentioned that you were thinking, and really just kind of starting those discussions, whether it's peer-to-peer or one-to-one. Those are a great way to kind of just think about it and get a definition going. So the next piece here is we have a dilemma, and this is again part of our literacy lesson collection. So Jenna, do you want to read our dilemma this morning or this afternoon?
Thank you. Yes. I'm sat at the front of the class. I'm ready to go. So this dilemma is, your fellow teacher has been using generative AI to write report card comments. They highlighted that this was a huge time saver and recommended it to other staff. Is this a good use of AI?
Right. So here is our dilemma. And normally, or what I usually do with this activity is if we're in person, I have folks go to one side of the room if they feel like, nope, not a good use. And the other side, yes, great use of AI. I'm team AI. They'll go to the other side. But I've got to tell you, Jenna, and you may have experienced this yourself, I find folks huddling in the middle of the room.
Oh, yeah.
because it's sort of like a yes, but, or yes, but what is the next thing I have to think about? And so this is a really great way to kind of get conversations going. So I'm curious with our crowd today, if you don't mind, putting in the chat there, yes or no, maybe. What are some of the things folks are saying in our chat around how do you feel about using generative AI for report card comments? Are you team yes, good use, or are you not so sure? Anybody have any thoughts?
Miss McGregor says yes, as you have the option to edit to make more specific to the children. Miss Campbell says no, but it's good for cutting down the character count.
The no, but good for cutting down character count, then yes, as long as they're refined.
Good, love it. Thank you so much for participating. I agree.
Yes.
I feel like these are good jumping points, right? Just to get your ideas going. But at the end of the
And
day,
maybe,
you want
as long as each
oh, the
comment
maybe.
is accurate reflection.
Yeah. Um,
A right and a slap bang in the middle.
all over, all over. I think the piece that we have to be mindful about is being authentic. Am I right, Jenna? Like you can put data in and it's going to bring it out, but we're losing that
I know that
piece
some people
where
annoying, depending on their tenants, they don't get access to the chat. I also like to be a bit challenging sometimes.
yes, absolutely. Any other thoughts, Jenna?
Yeah, I'm just thinking that you know, it's AI is not a replacement for work. It's a kind of helpful companion.
Yeah.
And I always see, like you say, answers to this question are always no, but, or yes, but. It's because it's not straightforward, and it's not down to the human, right? So how is the human
More
going to use
comments
it?
come in by the looks of it. Do you want to move on?
No, I'd love to hear them.
Ryan, I think your connection's bad. They've been talking for a wee bit about after moving on, so we'll let these guys just keep going with their flow.
I think one thing that hadn't come up quite yet is the private information versus personal information. So your PPI is how we frame that, and that's a piece that we need to make sure we understand because you shouldn't be putting in students' personal or private information either. Like it has to be a very generic input. When we prompt these, we do prompt engineering into these systems, into these platforms, you really have to be mindful around that. Because, should it be? Absolutely not. Right? We should not be sharing personal information about our students in AI platforms. And do families need to be informed that generative AI has been used? This is another type of question you can throw out there and think about what would work best for the culture and the environment that you work with and the families that you're working with the learners. So these are all considerations that can be really great discussions among staff and educators and teachers within your buildings to sort of get people to think about the best way to use AI, the safest way, the most ethical way. And so generative AI obviously is what's the new piece, right? This prompt engineering, this generating of data based on what we're putting in. So new text, images, media, right? It's all kinds of different things. But the important piece is understanding what we're putting in. And so if we could just do a quick, what's your biggest worry about generative AI, like artificial intelligence that we're faced with right now? Is it misinformation? Is it plagiarism? Is it bias? Is it bullying? Is it deep fakes? If you wouldn't mind, we can go ahead and put the letter in the chat there. And then if my chat moderator wouldn't mind calling out some of the ones that are most popular in terms of
Certainly.
a worry or a concern. What are we seeing coming in?
Miss McGregor says all of the above. She's very gullible.
Yes, all of it. I agree. I mean, I've done this a lot.
Brian
I
says
always
A.
find that bias and misinformation are our top two.
Yeah, some people have got deep fakes. Roz is coming in and saying deep fakes. Brian is saying misinformation. Yeah, I think for me it's it's bias. I think that kind of bias that you need skewing towards. I think Jennifer, certainly for what your country is about to go through leading up to November, bias is going to be a big thing. With what is going on there. Miss Campbell has said A, B, and C, so she's thinking very much about that misinformation and bias kind of approach as well.
I know, right? Send help. I'm kidding. No, yeah, yeah. These are all. It's all of the above in some way, shape, or form, depending on what you're teaching and the things and the content that you have to think about with your learners. So,
Absolutely.
how can generative AI be harmful to society? So some of this is like obviously the harmful things that are top of mind because right, how are we going to figure out what's real and what's not and teach our students what's real and what's not? Plagiarism and copyright issues, like that's a whole nother probably like a whole nother session, right? And then
Yeah.
thinking about what is plagiarism? How do we define plagiarism now, right? Bias, obviously we have a whole training on bias and then other harms, cyberbullying, the impersonations, the threats, the deep fakes. It's a real thing. So definitely some harms out there. But the good news is we always have to have good news, right, Jenna? We want to bring you the good news that makes
Love
you
good
feel
news.
like you got this. And so when you think about digital citizenship and the different dispositions that we have to do and have and practice to navigate anything that we do online is important. And so when we defined digital citizenship at Common Sense many years ago, this definition has not changed, right? It's someone who uses technology responsibly to learn, to create, to participate. And we've been having to do that for quite a while now, right? We're teaching ourselves the habits to slow down and reflect when we consume something that maybe we are excited about or not so excited about. We have to really like take a breath, pause, and consider the perspective, right? We have to be more open to different perspectives that we're seeing when we read different articles and from different sources and different writers, seeking the facts and evidence. I'm a habitual lateral reader now. If you're not sure what lateral reading is, like lateral reading is like the only way I can trust what I'm reading is true, right? Checking different sources to make sure everybody has the same story. And then the last two is you're envisioning your options and taking action. So you're thinking to yourself, how can I respond to this in an ethical, in a smart way, a responsible way, impactful way for the positive pieces? And so all the time, whether you're reading, consuming, participating, our students are doing the same things. And so I hope that we are all modeling these different dispositions in our classrooms as we navigate the different uses of online safety that we have to encounter. And so when we think about the AI component, Jenna, go ahead. I think
Yeah, I was just wondering. So, and this is really core, isn't it, to our pedagogy, which is to teach like dispositions, like ways of being, ways of thinking, because that is evergreen. That's going to help any learner, no matter what they're facing. Those dispositions are going to be valuable. If we teach rules are quickly out of date. AI is changing so fast. But what's not changing quickly is these kind of dispositions and skills are needed to get the most from digital media. Because we are not anti-technology. We are pro child, right? So we want the learner to get the most from it. We want to make sure that teachers feel empowered. So I just thought it was really important just to kind of reflect on those dispositions and how important they are, even when you come up against new technologies like Gen AI.
Absolutely. And when we think about AI, we're still doing all these things. We want to use it for workflow and like to save time. We want to save it or we want to use it to like give us better ideas, more creative ideas. And so we just have to think about these dispositions and relate it or line it up against AI. And the good news is, I have to tell you what the good news is. You've already been doing a lot of this stuff, right? So give yourself a round of applause or a pat on the back because a lot of you are already doing these things within your classrooms. And I say that because how does generative AI impact our relationships, right? And that's really what this comes down to. And we've had these lessons out for a while now. So has anyone I don't know if you want to give us a like or a smiley or anything in the chat, maybe even an asterisk in the chat. Have you done any of these lessons with your students in your classroom?
These
that
are
you have?
lessons. So these are from our core like digital citizenship program, right? These are not the new AI lessons, but they
Right,
are
these are-
relevant.
Yep.
Yep.
And so these have been around for a little while as well. And so you can see that how it lines up to the things that we're doing. And then obviously, you know, we've been talking about healthy online relationships. We've been talking about connecting with audiences that make us feel good. What are red flags? And now with AI, we're still talking about it, right? When it comes to chatbots and friendships, like all of this is part of our well being. And so to continue that conversation, teaching digital citizenship skills is preparation for AI. And so this next lesson we wanted to share with you is AI chatbots and friendship. And so how many of you have encountered or had to work with a chatbot before? I have an example. I've worked with a lot of them when it comes to customer service. If it's like your cell
All the
phone or your
time.
mobile bill,
Yeah.
right? Jenna, have
Yeah.
you used a chatbot lately?
All the time. I mean, it's always
All the time.
customer service. But you know, within my own you know, wider family, I've seen that, you know, chatbots are being inserted in places where young people are looking for connection. You know, and they're looking for you know, so where children are already potentially vulnerable, chatbots are popping up in those places. So I think this is a really important lesson. It's what is really close to my heart personally. So I'm glad you're sharing this.
Yes. Thank you. I think this is great. With that being said, do you want to read our scenario about our chatbot and friendships?
Sure, love to. So Logan just moved to a new town and is feeling lonely. Logan is having a hard time making friends or finding people who share her interests. Logan discovers a new AI chatbot feature on her social media and begins to chat, sharing personal thoughts and feelings with the AI chatbot. Logan discusses her experience moving to a new town, going to a new school, and the struggles of making new friends. Over time, Logan's interactions with the AI chatbot become a part of her daily routine. So Logan is starting to feel really connected to the AI chatbot because it always replies back with kindness and no judgment and is always available day or night.
So, should Logan consider the AI chatbot to be a friend? Why or why not? What's your first reaction, Jenna?
Oh, you know, I'm just personally concerned about this. You know, if I take off my common sense hat, you know, as a mother, as an aunt, I've got younger cousins engaging with chatbots in ways that concern me, getting help for mental health concerns. And we know that these are, you know, machines with faults. They are inherently pulling on, you know, misinformation, biased data. And I don't know, I'm personally worried about it. I'd love to hear
Absolutely.
what everyone in the room thinks.
And I also want to kind of address the idea of, you know, when you mentioned at the end, you know, they always reply with kindness and no judgment, available day and night, which to me sometimes is not always a true friendship.
Yeah.
We want our friends to disagree with us. We want our
That's
friends
right.
to do a check-in with us, right? We want to,
That's right.
like, that's part of the friendship of, you know, giving and taking and being there, that authentic piece. And so while it's consistent, right? Who doesn't love consistency? But it's also not authentic. And so when we look at qualities of a good friend, boy, those chatbots have them. Some of them, right? Dependable.
Yeah.
But that's probably the only one. I mean, the rest kind of fall as a human, like fall into that human category for me anyway, right? Like
For me as well.
I want to be able to trust my friend. I want to be able to be a good listener.
And I think
support.
also, you know, it's not readily available to anyone to find out kind of like what's under the hood. So what is driving that chatbot? You know, that information is not available to us, or you know, any child engaging with that chatbot. So I think we should have a healthy dose of, you know, caution when it comes to it.
Absolutely. Has anyone added anything to the chat in terms of what their thoughts are? Is anyone like a hard no, or have they experienced chatbots with
Yeah, Miss McGregor has just said again, it would be nice to have someone who is sympathetic to you and builds you up when you are down, but can't be considered authentic enough to be a friend.
I agree 100%. That's sort of my feeling. Because when you think about someone like Logan, who's moved to a new town, doesn't know anybody at a new school, for those first couple weeks, just to keep the positivity going and knowing that she does have somebody at that point or something. But eventually, you have to remove yourself and actually connect with people on a human level as well.
Yep.
So when we think about the qualities of friendship that an AI chatbot is missing, we brought a lot of these up, right, Jenna? Um, Empathy is huge when it comes to friendships. Nonverbal communication is another one, right? Like, I mean, eye rolling is a big one, isn't it? The eye roll. You're not getting that eye roll from a chatbot.
Yeah,
physical
and you know,
presence,
us
right?
Brits, Jennifer, like we love a bit of sarcasm. I just don't know that the robots have quite got the sarcasm message.
No,
But
and it's a good thing, right? I mean,
yeah,
you like a little sarcasm here and there.
yeah. But I am reminded of one of our, our early years lessons. It's called Pause for People. Do you remember that lesson? It's one of my favorites. And it was all about, people always take priority over your screen. So whatever your person is saying, that's more important than what's happening on your screen. And I think there's a really good values to kind of build into a young age as well.
And it's part of those dispositions we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Right? They're hard to teach because it's just the disposition within us and that we have to
Yeah.
model and think about. This is part of that.
Yeah.
So while AI chatbots can help us in meaningful and important ways, it's also important to be cautious about relying on them too much, right? We know they can't replace a human friendship and we don't want them to. You know, friendships are unique because they aren't one-sided and they're certainly not perfect. But being able to disagree with someone who's like your best friend is valuable in itself, right? And you can still agree to disagree and you're still going to be friends. And that's part of growing up and finding that human connection with others.
Yeah.
And so we took a dive into the lesson number 1, which is the AI, what is AI video that you saw with some discussion questions. We also did the AI chatbots in friendship out of lesson 4 with the different scenarios and dilemmas to thinking about. You'll notice the next 2 are about bias. And so we're kind of running out of time a little bit, but how AI bias impacts our lives and what does that look like? That would be another one maybe to step into. Again, just a great use of a discussion around bias and how it, inputs data, but doesn't always output what we need to see and is the truth.
And Jennifer, these lessons are all 15 to 20-minute lessons, aren't they? They include
They
slides,
are.
handouts, lesson plan, often some great videos. So you can really just jump in and start using them straight away.
Absolutely. That's the best part. They're so turnkey, everything's ready for you. And so, as we wrap up today's session, we just wanted to give you some best practices to think about as you maybe continue on with your AI, or if you're just getting started. We always know don't trust the AI output. Edit and revise, which some of you already said. That's great. Think of it as a co pilot, not a replacement, and don't use it to assign grades. And then for the learners, how should we respond to learners using this tool? And we can maybe throw this in the chat. We have an example rubric I can open up for you. We did this session with another group of educators and teachers here. And this just gives you an idea of what a rubric could look like if you should make an assignment for students and allow them to use AI for certain parts of that assignment. And so they kind of have guidelines here that they created so you can kind of see what you did to complete this assignment. You can check off how you use AI, which I think is really gives the transparency, right? So it's not saying we're not using this, it's just saying let's think about why or how we are using it to get to the assignment completion. So that might be a nice
We can't
resource
actually
for
see.
you.
We can't actually see the rubric, but if anyone wants to check it out, then that's a hyperlink that's in the presentation. It'll take you straight there.
No.
That's okay, the hyperlink's there.
Yeah, I popped the
Okay.
link to the slides
Oh,
in the chat, so everyone should be able to kind of click these and
and
follow
Sean,
along as
thank
well. So
you. And so this, I hope, starts to sort of eliminate the idea of cheating and plagiarism when we set them up for success, right? Hey, you know what? AI is probably going to help you with a little bit of time, right? Because we have you have an assignment due and you're quick to input a bunch of data and copy and paste, but use AI to get yourself started. But let's not copy and paste. Let's really edit and add our own creative pieces to the assignment. And then how do you evaluate? So, like anything else, it's always important to show a rubric to learners so they understand what the assignment is and what the outcome is and what the whole overall arching learning is. So it takes time, but this is going to have to be a process that sort of turns a little bit to incorporate AI in the most ethical, responsible way.